All right. Thank you for coming to the Planning and Zoning Commission, local planning agency for the meeting of January 11th, 2020. We'll do the call to the order. We'll do the invocation and the pledge, if everybody would stand. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, thank you for this day, Lord God. Thank you as we go through and do the work of the city today. Please help all our first responders and our active military, Lord, and help us get through this trying time as we're going through with the COVID, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, consent agenda, minutes of the planning and zoning meeting held up.
Chair?
Oh, roll call. Dang it, I do that every time.
Chair Lumnick?
Here.
Vice Chair Mellon?
Here.
Member Kennedy?
Here.
Member Forges?
Here.
Member Williams?
Here.
Alternate Member Keller?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Now the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for the planning and zoning meeting held on December 14th?
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion by Vice Member Mellon and a second by Member Williams. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Cool. We have no old business. We're going to go to our new business. This is the Townhomes located at 449 South Blueford Avenue. This is a public hearing. We're going to be looking at a small-scale comprehensive plan future use map amendment from low-density residential to medium-density residential. This is project number CPA 2021-02, and also a rezoning for single-family dwelling to multi-family dwelling district R3. That project number is RZ 211031. Development Service Director Mike Rimmer.
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman, that was high-density residential, from low-density to high on the,
Mine says low density to medium density.
okay, on my agenda, what we advertised was the high. And I'll explain. So
Okay.
it's kind of like a medium high. And I don't know if Member Kennedy, the attorney's here, you might speak a good time, yeah.
I have a relationship with this applicant. They're a customer of our business, and one of my partners has a wife that works for this applicant. Is that disqualifying?
So you are a part owner of the business or an employee
I'm
of the
a
business?
part owner of a business of which the applicant is a customer.
The applicant is a customer. Does this particular project relate to any work that you do for that customer?
They would most likely purchase stucco material from us for the project.
Okay. My recommendation is that you declare a conflict and not vote.
Very good.
So now will we bring Member Keller forward to vote?
Yes. Yes, he's our alternate, yes. Okay.
Perfect.
All right, super. Thank you. So the address of this is 449 South Blueford Avenue, and I'm going to put the location map on up here. So it's on the west side of Blueford Avenue, across from 7th Street. It's north of Orlando Avenue and south of Delaware and Ohio and Floral. And it's located within the cities with the Ocoee downtown. And so kind of go over the existing picture. We have a property that has an existing structure on it that has rooms that are rented out individually. And it's a zoning use that would more fit with an R3 that's currently in a residential zoning and low-density land use. What you were acting on, and you said this, Chairman, was we're looking to change the land use from low-density residential, which is up to 4 dwelling units an acre, to a high-density because of a specific project I'll talk about. And then it's a rezoning to R3 with that. I want to take a step back first and talk, and this map shows the low-density residential land use, and this shows the zoning of R1AA. And you'll see in both these maps, there's a lot of yellow, which is residential, and you're kind of saying, what's going on here? But we know from our downtown master plan, that's when I want to take a step back and remind us that In 2017, 18, 19, the city went through a master plan process for a downtown. And in actuality, while we were in that downtown process, maybe some of these citizens were part of that, the city commission adopted funding to implement the downtown while we were finishing up the downtown project, the plan, and presenting the last of the findings. And you're seeing and we can see the fruition of those efforts. We have the extension of the Lakeshore Center. We have the revised phase 1 of the park, which created the bollards in the road, the green space, the new sidewalks, put in the electrical and the water to make the next phases of that park even better. We have the new Blueford Avenue from the Quadro down to just around 7th Street by the school, which has wide sidewalks, street trees. As a side note, we've actually funded and designed, and it's under contract for the final construction documents. We're carrying Blueford Avenue from its terminus around Delaware all the way down to Old Winter Garden Road. So Blueford Avenue from Silver Star to Old Winter Garden is going to have wide sidewalks, street trees, street furniture. It's going to have that consistent look all the way down. As part of our downtown master plan, we came up with a series of locations within the downtown. The downtown we see from the Lakeshore to the 429. And we have implemented, as I said, the Blueford Avenue directly across from here on the south side of Franklin is going in presently is a master stormwater pond that's going to be dressed up as a park. The function of that pond is to take stormwater from Blueford Avenue, Franklin Street, down to Floral. All of the stormwater in that area can go into that pond. So as properties redevelop in the future, they can tie into a master pond and not have to provide a stormwater retention system for every development. That's how you get the downtowns to develop. And it's going to be brought back as a very magnificent park. It's going to have walkways around the water from Franklin. It's going to terrace down concrete terraces. It's really beautiful. And we're disguising it as a park because that's what we want it to be. It's just going to function as a stormwater pond. With that work, we're doing the phase 1 of Oakland Avenue West. Oakland Avenue East and Lakeshore is being reworked right now. City Hall is going up. And then Oakland Avenue is the next phase. It's going to be starting soon. We're going to be bringing, now Oakland Avenue is an 80-foot wide right-of-way. McKee Street's a 60-foot wide right-of-way. So we had more room with Oakland. Oakland Avenue is going to have wide sidewalks, one-way traffic, one-way lanes, with a 24-foot median with a trail down the middle, a 14-foot continuous paved trail from Blueford Avenue to where it goes to Kissimmee. Then we're finalizing, the CPH is the engineer, the plans for Taylor Street. Taylor Street's going to have, kind of look like Bluford, have wide sidewalks on one side. It's going to bring you up to Franklin. We'll have a roundabout. And that will sort of complete the downtown master plan first phase projects. Next phases is we bought the recording studio. We're going to vision and plan on how to tie all this in with that property over there. We'll have phase 2 and 3 with the park. And we're looking at other opportunities as we're seeing more development, like we have the office being built on Silver Star. Shortly after City Hall's done, the old photography studio building will start to be developed. We've run sewer down the alleyway on the north side of McKee Street, so you're seeing the cafe was bought. It's being made into 2 restaurant spaces. The next phase will be an additional 2 restaurant spaces, or retail spaces, hopefully restaurants, or probably retail and a restaurant. In that, we're seeing redevelopment on and around the downtown. In the downtown master plan, we have what's down the downtown core. We have the downtown neighborhood. We have the Silver Star Road corridor. We have segments that we're looking, and we're going to be promoting types of development in these areas. Because to make the downtown, to help make the downtown successful, we're putting in the skeleton right now. But we need things like rooftops, we need activity points, we need different businesses, we need the park feature, you have the pond, we're gonna have Blueford Avenue wide walk so you can move around. So that brings us to sort of what's next. In our downtown, Blueford Avenue is an arterial road. It means it's made to have a lot of trips. It's the road where businesses front. So Blueford Avenue is going to start to change. We've already seen it. We've purchased some land as the pond, knocked down a house. We put a lift station right across from City Hall. At some point, as the downtown starts to achieve some success, people will start looking at properties on Bluford as a business opportunity to, you kind of have the first generation, they buy the houses, they make them into a massage or a design studio, a realtor's office, and then after a while, then maybe someone buys a couple of them, but this all happens over time. And what I'm showing in this map here is what the downtown core area is. And then you have the Blueford Avenue. The subject property is in the downtown neighborhood, but it's very near Orlando Avenue, which is a collector road, and Blueford Avenue, which is an arterial road. As city staff, we envision, I said the downtown is going from the Lake Shore to the 429, but it also goes from Silver Star Road down to Geneva Story Road. And actually on Bluford at Geneva Story, there used to be an arch. We just had some, at Story in Geneva, we had some land uses that are industrial, and we've seen some redevelopment already. We had the cheer gym. We have the building across from it, that's an office warehouse. We have another one being built right next to it on Blueford Avenue. And so where we didn't make the downtown core go from Silver Star down to Orlando, Geneva, we see as Orlando, Geneva, the south end of the downtown. You can't see it. You can see there's a black line here on this. You might be able to see. That black line is the right-of-way line. The right-of-way for Blueford Avenue varies from 90 to 60, but it cuts this current building off in the front. And we've recognized that and said, well, once the plans start to get finalized, when they do an engineer plan, they tell you areas of issues. Either we need no more survey here, we need to accumulate this land, we need a construction easement, we need a temporary construction easement. We identified this building as it's within our right-of-way. It's been there a long time. We'll have to tackle that at some point. Well, I've had people over the years looking at this building when it went up for sale, and the applicant that come forward said, hey, we are looking to we do urban townhomes, high-end that would fit in a downtown. What do you think? My first thought was, well, we need to get rid of this building somehow without getting sued or having to do some sort of negotiations. So I like the idea of redeveloping the parcel. The property being located, and I think it's better told, I didn't show this plan, but since we have a good audience, I'll show you from the property appraiser. It's really telling more of the story is we have some land that's underdeveloped that will provide us with the opportunities for potentially some sort of rooftops. And I think if you see where the 7th Avenue is, Orlando Avenue, Bluford, it sets up a really nice block, which you want in downtown development. A block provides lots of opportunities, not only for development, but for pedestrian movement, for the distribution of trips. All right, so So this is Orlando, Blueford Avenue, 7th Street. So we have a true block. And you see it's fairly underdeveloped. You have 3 single-family homes. You have Miss Ivy's buildings and homes. And this is an area on a collector and arterial, I think would make a great bookend sort of for future urban townhomes where you park in the middle and you have those front porches up on the road. And you're going to have the new Blueford Avenue. You've got the school behind you. This is an area that we see as a tremendous opportunity in the future. 15, I'd love for it to be within 5 years, but 10, 15, 20 years from now. If you look at the Blueford Avenue corridor, you're going to start to see, as I said, things change. This house is no longer there. We have a lift station. And in properties, we have a daycare. This property is for sale for really starting to see values start to rise. It'll be interesting to see what this sells at. City Hall's going here. This building will start going up once City Hall is CO'd. And so things are starting to change. And we identified this area and said, okay, let's look at this parcel. And so what's proposed is a townhome development. And to get there, they have to do so much development. The area has a single-family home on the north and south, and then on the west side, you have a single-family subdivision. So we looked at this opportunity to provide, it came up light on my computer, it's darker on these side TVs, but there's a proposal where they can fit regular, normal townhomes, not rear-loaded. This is not a big enough parcel. We're under an acre. If you just take the geometry of the parcel and you put a normal setback with some extra room on the north and south side, you have a pond in the rear. You can have a regular urban townhome, a regular townhome, 2-story, 3-car, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, garage development. And schematically or on the geometry, you can get up to 7 units if it works out with the engineering. So with that, because we're at less than an acre, that would calculate at 8 dwelling units an acre. That's why the high density, but it's not an apartment development. It's not a high in height development. It's just because of how the calculation comes about. So what you see here is, and because we're redoing Blueford Avenue, we didn't want a potential to have 7 driveways next to each other. And this lot afforded opportunity to have a driveway, 2 driveways, with a 24-foot driveway off the road. So you can enter and exit, you can drive through here, you can enter the parking spaces in the garage, you can park, and then there's stormwater retention in the back. And there'll be proposed a wall on this back side. The thought going into this is, okay, under this parcel, as it sits, you can tear down the building, you could build 1 single-family home, and you could build it 7.5 feet away, 2-story. You could do the same thing on the south side. You can split the lot into 2 and have 2 single-family homes. But is that the best use for the downtown on a property on an arterial road that's changing? It's not a neighborhood like that's behind it. It just happens to be near a fire station. It's near Orlando Avenue. So this is what we're working with, is an opportunity to bring some high-end, these townhomes, the 2 of them together. If you took 2 townhomes and figured there was 1 single-family home in that lot, the townhomes are going to be worth more together than that single-family home. The values of this development are going to bring this parcel up higher than if it were 1, 2, or 3 single-family homes, unless somebody was really building a mansion on it or something. But traditional single-family zoning. In order to facilitate this, the next step will be the engineering, but what we know at this point is they have water in front. They actually have to put in a lift station. That's why we need more room on this side. It'll be greater than 7.5 foot on the south and north side. But they have to run sewer all the way down Blueford Avenue and then turn the corner on Orlando and connect over there. It's a long run, but that's how it's got to get done. I show this is the next step will be creating this development plan, but you've got to get the land use and the zoning in place before you can get there. And that's why we're looking to change on this map, which is yellow, and traditional suburban transect zoning is you have agriculture, residential, medium density, commercial, high density. Along Blueford Avenue, that goes out the window because things are changing. And so your actions tonight are for an ordinance to change the land use, because before the zoning can be changed, we have to change the land use from low density to high density, and it's a rezoning from the R1 AA to R3. R3 in the code and in our downtown criteria affords opportunities. The downtown criteria already differs from our land development code, where you can do single-family home, duplex, triplex. It just requires reduced setbacks. We want buildings up on the road, we want activity on the road, and we want porches or stoops. That's what we're trying to get for areas that are going to develop as single-family. This parcel's not large enough to drive behind and park. That would be the ideal. That's going to be somewhere like I showed on the corner there, maybe up behind Quadro in the future. So that's the purpose of this item. So staff recommends this land use amendment and rezoning, and that's sort of the history and why we got to where we are. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Okay, before we bring the applicant up, does anybody have any preliminary questions for Mike?
I do have one, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Mike, I noticed that in one spot it says they're looking at 7 lots, and another place in there, when we're talking about the school district, they're saying it's going to only be 6 units. What are we looking for?
So we've, as the projects, we've come along, as we've refined things, they think they can get that 7th lot in there. With regards to school, anything 10 or under is de minimis,
Yeah.
so it doesn't have to go through the school.
Yeah.
So, and this has been with COVID, we've done Zoom meetings. This has been a long process. I think at one point I thought we were gonna get 6 out of it, but we can get with in the plan, that's where the plan kind of comes into play. Like, we wanna provide the plan to provide the most transparency on what the reason we're getting here. We could have just shown colors on a map and said, trust us. And so this project has evolved. They've gotten better, we've gotten better information on the utilities, the lift station. They think they can get 7. That's where, at 6, it's a medium density. At 7, it's a high density. But really, the setbacks from the front, side, and rear are what we care about. And under a townhome development, they're all fee simple owned. They're lots. So it's not just one big rental building. And there will be an HOA, because they'll have to maintain the access drives, they'll have to maintain the pond, they'll have to maintain the common area, the lift station. But this is not a subdivision plan in front of you. This is just a land use amendment and rezoning.
And then I guess my other question, and I know it's not just the land use, but in the picture, I see 2 one-car garages and 4 two-car garages.
Yeah, the picture, this is they're not at that point to spend the money to render it. So I said, send us something, I would show the ones that are on Plant Street and Winter Garden, but they're rear loaded. I said, find me something comparable with front loaded. And they just did this picture. They're not building that exactly, but that's how it's gonna look. That's the, I say the look, the 2-story, it's your typical townhome. It's not, we wanted to show it's not gonna be some sort of a all concrete block building with angles and just look it's going to be a townhome development with lots. So that's what this is intended, just to give you an idea of what this could look like.
I was just trying to figure out what the size, because what is it, there's 1,000 square feet is what you're looking for each of these homes, or?
The townhomes today are larger than that, yeah, they're 1,500 square foot. Yes, these are be general townhomes size. This is not a reduced to fit, that would be something trying to fit 10, 11 in, doing like 18 foot and smaller. This is your traditional townhomes.
Okay. So,
In order to do that, they can get up to 7. Once we get in the
so in
engineering.
theory, it would be 7 with all 2-car garages, so we're talking two 3-bedroom homes?
3-bedroom, 2-bath, yes.
Okay.
3-bedroom, 2-bath. In some, they have the 2-car on the end, in the middle, just how that breaks up. Do you put them on the end? Do you have the 1 car in the middle or on the end?
Yeah,
We prefer the 1 car on the end because it gives you an opportunity to put those large city cans. Or we might be able to do a way, not have them sitting in there.
Because I was just wondering about parking too, because all of a sudden I see 1-car garages. I get real nervous about.
Well, Commissioner, this is downtown. We have on-street parking. We need a parking problem because we need a parking garage at some point.
Yeah.
This is not suburban, I can tell you. It
Oh, no,
can park.
I just want to
but-
make sure that when someone comes home at
Yes,
night, they're going to be
yes.
able to park their car.
Yes, yeah. In this scenario, but again, we've got to get into the engineering. And you can see it better on there is actually, if you make this one way,
Yeah.
in and one way out, you can fit parallel parking along here. But you have the driveway and the garage, you have parking within the unit. It's a traditional it will be a traditional townhome unit. It's just they can get up to 7.
I know
Of
that
something.
parking's important to you.
Mike, is
sorry?
that right?
I know that parking's important to
Yes,
you.
right away in front.
parking becomes an issue.
Well, this is Blueford Avenue. This is a drive aisle that is being a 2-way that's able
But
to
you said
fit
the
to get.
right-of-way encroached into the existing lot. Is that drive aisle is not within the right-of-way?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll have your large sidewalk, then that road?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
Okay. You want to bring the applicant up?
I got a real quick question.
Sure.
I'm noticing a lack of stoops and porches, so would this be an exception to the future comprehensive plan where we want all the homes to have porches and stoops along Bluford?
In the downtown, we want porches and stoops, yes. Really in the downtown core, and that's where we've got several people we're looking at on Magnolia. We had a couple built on Lyle that have little porches and stoops, and we're starting to see that.
Right, but
here.
wouldn't this still
Well,
be part of the
This will
downtown
have
core?
some sort of a stoop, the rendering's just to show
Right, right.
you, to kind of put a picture of what that frontage is gonna look like. But we are attempting to get porches and stoops as close as we can to the downtown core and then in the downtown core.
Right. Would this be considered the downtown core, though?
No, it's not.
This wouldn't
It's
be,
not.
okay.
No.
So I want to make sure the board understands today, we're not talking about, I mean, I know he's
Right.
given us this rendering, right?
Yeah.
But this is not what they're bringing forward, and today we are just talking about changing the use and the zoning, right? So I think this picture, probably like a lot of you, I think it's atrocious, but that's not what we're talking about today. So, does anybody else have any questions before we bring the applicant up?
Just
I
one
do.
last big, oh, you go ahead. and
Ladies
then I'll-
first.
Go ahead, Member Williams, go ahead.
Ladies first.
Okay, so I just wanted to kind of step back on the land use a little bit and understand the vision here, because I want to make sure I'm clear.
Yes.
If we change this parcel to high-density land use, right? The vision is that eventually this is the way that the area is going to transition.
Right, Blueford Avenue on each side of Bluford will start to transition to something else, commercial. When we do the downtown master plan, it would be great if everyone that had a lot in the downtown came and said, I volunteer to change my land use right now. For us to do that, it's a long, expensive process. So we rely on it right now on a case-by-case basis. So that's why you're seeing this one spot. If I could to change the land uses, even we had on Oakland, I talked to somebody that bought a vacant parcel on Oakland Avenue. I said, I will pay for you to rezone and change the land use to commercial, so to get the residential out. On the south side of Oakland, that's already been done. All the land use is commercial. On the north side, it wasn't. Still had this yellow. So we protected that parcel in a sense because we took this vacant parcel. We worked with the owner to change the land use and zoning. We will do that. They saw that, yes, Oakland's going to be something more than residential, but we have to do it on a case-by-case basis right now. Or we don't have to, we do, because to do a blanket is a long process.
So just as a comment, my fear is that the nature and the characteristics that make this particular parcel ripe for change doesn't seem to really follow for the surrounding parcels. So what happens if transition
Yeah.
doesn't occur? Do we then
Well,
have,
as I stated, so from the rear, and this existing R3 use, 6 bed, I don't know how many, I've heard 6, I have 6 in my head, but this use has a nice, just happens to have a nice front setback on it. It's not set more to the rear. So with the development proposal, as staff, we said, you need to put, I don't see the neighborhood behind it, off of Delaware and Washington and Cumberland. I don't see that neighborhood changing over time. I see, but definitely along Blueford Avenue. And so where this townhome will be 2 stories, it'll meet a minimum of 7.5 feet from the parcel next to it, but it could have a 2-story home right there. So you have a 2-story townhome, you have a 2-story home.
okay,
It just happens, in between it, there are homes. There are 6 units, or 7 units, there are on that parcel, let's say you split it into 3, because you can see right here, you could go 1, 2, 3. 3 homes, you could still have 9 cars, you could still have, a townhome development's just different than single family.
Yeah, and Mike, that corner directly across the street from where that house is and the pool's back there, the other side,
This.
across the street, across Bluford, that's the big corner you're talking about that eventually could be one big. So I mean, that's where the change could be too, right? That's where all those lots are that.
Right, and if you look
Has
at
low
it
density
this
right
way, let's see if I can,
So
it'll
it's-
work, I don't know.
Chicken and the egg, which comes first?
So, let me just draw some squares to kind of show you how this area could transition in the future and start kind of telling the story from Geneva, Orlando, going north. But you've got, so Oakland Avenue, you're going to have, oops, so we're going to start seeing changes. Oakland, let me make that a little bigger.
By the way, while he's doing that, on Thursday night, we'll be using something like this as well for our redistricting committee. You all should come to that too. Because it's going to affect your district, that you're in districts all through Ocoee. So it's important to see what he's doing, because we'll be doing this Thursday night as well.
A little roundabout there. We're gonna have a new, we're gonna have to move Kissimmee over a little bit to the left. It'll come here. We already have, we have a new Blueford Avenue. That's going all the way down. But you start seeing opportunities for development, If this starts developing, I'll pick a color that's not used, but orange. You start seeing development happening. So this block really develops intense. Now you're gonna start getting piecemeal commercial happening on the road. We've had, you know, redevelopment of the old computer shop next to the grooming station. So you're gonna start seeing these, so as Oakland on each side, we'll start getting some developments. We have City Hall, we'll start getting, things are gonna start changing over time. And it's really gonna be from Geneva all the way up to Silver Star. And so as these things start happening and it starts feeling, you see more people walking and biking because we have wide walks and they can go to the park and they can go to the other stormwater pond, walk around. We'll have elements, when we move in the new city hall, we'll be thinking about what we can put in this spot that'll benefit the park. Start adding different options for you, and we'll have, I understand that some sort of donut place on McKee. We've got a good brewery. Things are starting to happen, and that's gonna be more acceptable. So,
Okay, the
you know.
only point that I want to make is just that to put in, whether it's a time fail-safe or some kind of fail-safe, so that if it doesn't look like it's going to follow the vision and transition, that we don't leave it with kind of this hodgepodge of activity that then future planners or future generations have to figure out what to do with these
yes.
anomalies.
Yes, I think one benefit of, that's helped, you know, we've got these two schools, so you have the traffic, you have the let out, you know, drop off Wednesdays, earlier days and this stuff, so it's already kind of organically, we have this activity on this end happening. But I can see what you're saying, but I can't, I mean, I would love to have everyone volunteer and say, yeah, put me as commercial, put me as, and change land uses. If we could do just a downtown overlay land use, that would be nice. That takes a lot of work, as you know, to do
Yeah.
something. You gotta show the state all the parameters, and it's, so.
Luke, do you have a question?
Yes. I had 6 of them, and I'm down to 1.
Oh, no.
You guys are doing good. Mike, I was under the impression that high density would allow apartments as well.
The density just talks about the number of units. So yes, you can have duplexes, townhomes, apartments. You're limited by height.
Okay.
So, on there, so, yes.
So if the vision does not include apartments, obviously multi-level apartments, could this fly under medium density?
Could it come under, yeah, it could, yes, yeah.
That would bring it from 7 to 8 units, right? Or
It'd bring
6 to 7?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, the apartment developers are in it for, you know, they need 200 units.
They're not gonna buy under.
You're not gonna get a.
Understood.
You're not gonna get, because you've got to park it, and we could, in the downtown, relieve some of the parking a little bit, a couple of spaces here and there, but you can't park 16 apartments, you can't fit it in with the stormwater. I mean, you'd have to seek height waivers, and no one builds just small apartments like that.
What's the
It's-
height
They're
difference?
townhomes, they're,
But here's the thing. Suppose this developer, something happened,
yeah.
they're stopped. And we have a high-density land use. And this project sits there, and all of a sudden, the neighbor to the left is selling, neighbor to the right selling, and this.
And they boom, and they
Then
wanna
what
go
we're talking about
high
now
density,
has a
yes, yes,
high-density
yes.
land use that they can actually put those same units that we don't want here. So, I think
Well,
I'm in
it's-
line with Member Williams to say, how do we,
Well, if you put more than 4 lots, you're going through the subdivision process, and it's coming here. You're gonna see this next plan. The city commission's gonna eventually approve the next plan.
It's not just gonna be built overnight. You can only do a lot split, 1 up to 3, then you gotta do a minor plat, but that's all comes back
Correct.
to these. So it's not just you have it go and build, that has to go through the process, public process.
Correct, but we could do a medium density with a variance of adding 1 more unit to
No,
make
you
it
can't.
7.
You can't do that.
So medium density is 6 units, that's it,
It's up to 8.
up to 8.
Yes.
And this
What I
de-
say
This
is-
developer has 7.
It's medium density, low density is up to 4.0, 4.01 is medium up to 8.
Okay,
So-
so this developer can fly under medium density. This can work under medium density.
This is 8 with 7,
Yes.
with 6. At this is more than, it's not an acre. It's less than an acre, so it's over that calculation. So it's high density, but you could facilitate it with medium density. 6 units, yes.
Thing is, because under an acre, you can't get the 8, you wouldn't be able to get the 8, but you figure it would be cheap.
Hey, there was a proposed project right before B&G changed the usage on that place across the street from here. Were they gonna put some brownstones, but was it gonna be parking in the back? Do you remember they proposed a project like that immediately across the street?
From the new city hall?
Yeah.
Well, they've all been based off of the rendering that we did. And that is retail on the front, office or living on the top, and
Right.
there's parking in the back. But that's,
I know that retail part wouldn't work here, but would a rendering like that help to make these, again, we're not talking.
it will
about
when
what
it comes
this
back
looks
to you.
like.
You're gonna have a rendering of what it's gonna look like.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, cool. Now, let's bring the applicant up now, if you would like to. Just state your name and your business.
Good evening, I'm Chris Sears. The applicant purchased the property a couple years ago and wanted to participate in the redevelopment process and approach the city. The plan is for boutique townhomes. The rendering was that picture was a last minute. We need something from the staff asked, some type of rendering. What we're proposing, and we had a rendering that showed backloaded garages, but we didn't want to misrepresent backloaded garages. This will be a front-loaded garage project. Each unit would be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, approximately 1,600 to 1,800 square feet. Our original rendering that we gave to the city was based very similar to on Plant Street in Winter Garden, the Park Place project. Varied lines on the building, brick accents. We would have a flat roof like they do so that you wouldn't have a rooftop to look at. And when we came up with the calculations, we're still engineering, but we have that drawing that we've submitted for tonight's meeting for 7 units and have a front-loading garage. So that's basically where we are right now. We think it fits into the walkable, livable downtown plan. We're not a tract builder or production builder, not that that's anything wrong with that, but our process really is more of a boutique look, very similar to the Winter Garden project. And when we move forward into the project, as we progress, we'll certainly have renderings of the front and back. We want to be very considerate of our neighbors. I think we've talked about a wall in the back to just keep that separate. And we just think it's the highest and best use for the property as it sits right now, and be happy to answer any questions.
Could you get away with 5 or 6 units on that property?
I think financially, we were trying to get 8 to make it more viable. 8's not going to work with the engineering. We believe 7 will work with the engineering at this time, so we'd like to stick with 7.
All right, anybody else have any questions for the applicant? Okay, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna open it up to, did somebody have a question? Sorry. All right, we're gonna open it up to the public hearing. Does anybody want to speak? All right, do we need forms on this or no? Did we have the forms out there? Okay, when you're done speaking, grab one of those speaker forms and make sure you fill it out. We're going to give you 3 minutes each to speak, so young lady, you can come on up first. Just state your name and address, or your name and, yeah, your address. Wait till you get up to the microphone there, please.
Maggie
Hey, Miss
Musial, Musial, at 406 South Cumberland Avenue. This lovely project sits in my backyard. Not a fan, and my concern is, being
Are you not a fan with the current house or the?
Not a fan of the high density.
Okay.
I feel as if, and the gentleman mentioned earlier, when you look at the land, a lot of it's not being used. A lot of open space there. I think as a citizen, we like the open space. I think we like the homes. And I feel as if you open this can of worms, changing these to high density, there's a lot of areas, for example, Miss Ivy's, could be bought. You're opening an opportunity that I don't think the residents of Hidden Oaks are interested in. I do have letters from my neighbors. We have a lot of people right now with COVID and some other illnesses that could not attend, and they shared the same opinion.
Now, you get a lot of trouble now from that place, don't you?
Not currently.
Okay.
We've been there 33 years. We have had some issues because it has been a rental.
More
But
like
for
a-
the most part, the
yeah.
city has really been, if there's been a problem, the police have been there.
Okay.
So, just not a fan for a lot of high density. I think we like how it is now,
Okay.
so.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that'd like to speak? Come on up. We'll take you, sir. Just make sure you fill that form out that's on the back desk out there. If you've already filled it, bring it up to the clerk, please. Thank you. State your name and your address if you would.
How's everybody doing? My name's Scott Lougheed. I live on the street, South Cumberland as well, right behind the project. I appreciate everybody's time today. I also appreciate the hard work you guys have been doing to redevelop Ocoee. I like the direction things are going. You brought up the master plan a couple times, which I'm glad to hear. That was one of the elements. I purchased my house in 2017, so that's one of the elements that I looked at prior to purchasing. There's a couple, I reviewed the staff report issued by the Development Review Committee on this project, and I've got some concerns as well as some discrepancies to point out to everybody in regards to their evaluation and as it compares to the codes. First thing is, as the consistency with the comprehensive plan, if you guys have access, it's on the third page. There's two main points that they provided as far as support to support their decision as far as the consistency with the comprehensive plan. The first being that the subject property is located within the downtown redevelopment area. According to the master plan on page, so it's figure 3.4 on page 58, which I have with me and I can provide to you guys. It has actually a layout of what the master plan downtown area looks like. Yeah, sure. That would be awesome if we could pull it up. But this went over by Mr. Mike here, and he noted some character areas. So basically how they've defined the downtown redevelopment areas into character areas of the downtown core as well as the downtown neighborhood, which he mentioned. The important thing to note here, based on their statement of that the subject property is located within the downtown redevelopment area, is that it's not. According to the map, the downtown redevelopment area starts just north of it, which Mike's going to try to pull up for us. But the subject property is not located within the redevelopment area, it's just below it. This was interesting because it's something I looked at prior to purchasing my home. I knew that areas could be redeveloped into townhomes, et cetera, but it made me feel better knowing that based on the master plan that wouldn't be affecting the block that I reside in, which happens to also reside of the proposed townhome. And another thing important to note with that is although it's not even located inside the redevelopment area, which was a justification to allow this, the closest area is the downtown neighborhood, as they classify it, which under the master plan, that's section 3.4.3. So how they note the downtown neighborhood is that it must maintain historic block structure, should remain fundamentally low density in form, Some non-residential uses may be allowed along Bluford, but they must adhere to the house, building, type, and standards. And that's noted on section 3.7.6. What that notes is that it's actually a specific standalone, separate, single-family dwelling, whereas the townhomes are noted under section 3.7.4. So based on that, although we're not within the downtown neighborhood or the downtown redevelopment area, which excludes us from these special exemptions, if we were within the downtown neighborhood, you still would not, based on the master plan, be able to build townhomes. The second justification within the consistency with the comprehensive plan is to develop a single-family attached home subdivision is consistent with the future land use element policy 1.4 to allow mixed and multi-uses in the special overlay areas. This is also interesting. So I went through the future land use development. So what they define mixed uses, so that's basically, so it allows mixed uses. Oh, here we go. How the future land use element defines mixed use, which is under page 117. They define mixed use, while not a specific land use category, mixed and multi-use types developments are characterized by the mix of two or more distinct land uses. In addition, mixed and multi-use developments are dependent on the successful integration and blending of these distinct uses together in order to create a functioning, multifaceted type of development. Integration is defined as the combination of distinct uses on a single site where impacts from different uses are mitigated through site design techniques and where different uses are expected to benefit from the close proximity of complementary uses. That also does not meet the standards for what they're proposing here. The intent of that is to provide mixed use between retail, commercial, and residential. Distinct use would not meet the requirements for residential and then multifamily or more high density residential. In general, and this was went over by Mr. Mike as well, the way that zoning is supposed to work is it's supposed to create barriers between some distinct uses as well as residential uses. And they do that through transition zones and transitioning the zoning. On the zoning maps that were provided, you could see that near the downtown core, they started at R1, then they went to R1 AA, and then the farther you got from downtown, you went to R1 AAA for the larger lots. The purpose of providing that transitionary zone is so that what the commission brought up multiple times is that we don't have a random non-transitioned property within an area surrounded by other properties that are not of equivalent zoning. And that's also a concern that I share.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to stop you. I'm gonna give you just a couple more seconds to sum up, and then we'll let Mike speak to your issues. We're trying to keep it around 3 minutes, so just sum up real quick if you can.
Okay, well, even more importantly is that there are serious discrepancies between the zoning that's allowed for this property and in regards to setbacks. So the setbacks that were proposed are 10 feet on either side. That does not meet the requirements of the code. Section 615 of the multifamily development standards specify that this is section K1. All one-story and two-story multifamily structures shall provide a minimum of 25-foot setback from all boundaries of the development. So to have 10-foot setbacks would not meet the requirements of that code. That's also reflected within the staff report, and so they note that issue. Another issue is that the collector street or arterial, if it is an arterial, it would be a 50-foot setback, but a collector street is required a 35-foot setback. So those would also not meet those requirements. In my opinion, that allowing this would also be issuing a variance as we're not meeting those setbacks, and to issue a variance, I don't think would be appropriate in this situation.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
Mike,
you guys, appreciate it.
Mike, do you want to address any of that, or? Do we have anybody else that wants to speak? Okay, we're gonna go with this gentleman. I saw his hand up last time around. Thank you very much. Just make sure you fill that form out, okay? Thank you. And if you could reset the clock. Just state your name and address when you get up there, please.
My name's Larry Klein. I live at 401 South Cumberland,
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm opposed to this project. I don't see that these townhouses are going to bring much value into the property behind us. I see it taking it down. I also see the door being opened to the piece of property across from me that the church owns, that sometime in the near future, that can be sold and turned into townhouses, and I can't see townhouses going into that area right there. Right now, we live in a very nice community with nice property, and that was one of the reasons why I moved out here. I moved from Orlando because Orlando was doing the same thing. They were increasing the density in the property and everything else, and it just drove me out, and I don't want to be driven out of Ocoee because of it.
All right, thank you very much, sir. All right, who else we got? Come on up, young lady.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know what happened to the
That's fine.
video. So,
There you
there
go.
we go.
You have
Okay.
to turn it off and turn it back on again.
Just state your name and address, please.
Jennifer Hawkins, 321 South Blueford Avenue, across from the middle school. First of all, I have to say, I don't know what your name is, but would you please represent all of us? Because he spoke from the head. I am just going to speak from my heart, and I wasn't even going to speak tonight, so I apologize.
Where's your house at compared to this? So you're on South Bluford, so what are you, 2 or 3 houses
Yes.
up?
Yeah, my brother, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and my heart is in this because my brother, and I love you because you said hodgepodge. I don't know your name, but that's exactly what the thing I
Are
did.
you George Milton's sister?
Yes.
Okay, cool, got it.
I know, watch out.
Yeah.
No, but, okay, so you know that my dad and my brother and my whole family has been kind of working on that piece, and I just hear today that you're planning on like booting us out at some point because you want to turn it all commercial. Yeah, that's just shocking. But anyway, okay, so we've got some really nice homes. We're trying to make it nice, and it just seems like to take, just like you said, just to take a townhome development and plop it right in the middle of all these single-family homes. I mean, that piece of property could be turned into single-family homes, and that you could have your stoops and your porches, and it would be so nice, and you could do your business down the other way and down the other way, but kind of like, let us have our neighborhood, please.
Thank
That's
you.
all.
Who we got next? Come on up, PJ. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
My name's Henry Pelfrey. I live at 325 Sabinal Street. One thing nobody's addressed at this point is the traffic congestion. Bluford is becoming like a throughway because people are bypassing the 429. They come down Bluford. I walk that street in the mornings when school opens up. People don't even pay attention to the school zone. And, putting more high density into that is going to increase the volume of traffic. Buses can't get out hardly now unless somebody stands out there and stops the traffic. So, I don't see any advantage of going to a high density type setup in the city, at least in this area. So that's the only thing I have to say is just, the traffic's going to increase a lot.
All right, thank you, sir. Anybody else? Come on up. Just make sure you fill out the form when you're done.
Hello, my name's Mike Blackwell. I live at 487 South Blueford Avenue. That's on the south side of the property. We border the property. We've lived there for 33 years now. And we're hopeful of a nice downtown area, just like everybody is. But, I have a few concerns with this particular proposal. What's a city can? Is that a dumpster, or is that our individual garbage cans? That's one question.
Oh, I said the big.
Is that the green ones that we all have? Okay, because we've had dumpsters there on that property before, and that was a little bit of a headache, and,
Under single family, you have which townhome is considered single family, you each get a garbage can.
Okay.
Apartment, you get the big dumpster.
All right, thank you. And then the easement between my property and the townhomes, is the distance from the property line, is that 10 foot, like what Scott was mentioning, or would that be 7.5? I'm right here. So is this gonna be 7.5 foot off of there that the building would be, or would that be 10 foot?
It would be a minimum of 10 to get the equipment back to maintain the pond and the common area behind it.
Okay. So they'd have to have all the trees removed along that, because there's trees along there, right? I mean, you couldn't leave the trees, I guess, right?
Well, you gotta, when you develop a site, you have to raise it up to put the water and the sewer and the power
Yeah.
under, in the
I
stormwater
got you.
pipes underground, so it just
Okay.
depends on
Yeah,
the.
okay. Well, I mean, they're concerned, one's falling on my house already, they're old.
If you look at
So-
the new warehouse across from the cheer gym,
Yeah,
that's indicative of what, in order to develop under today to
I
get
got
everything
you.
underground. So
yep. Okay, and then, the 7 driveways. I mean, I live on Bluford, I've lived there for a long time. Backing out on Bluford is tough. So you're gonna have 7 front-end driveways, so I guess those people aren't gonna have circles to get out, so how are they gonna
we
get out on the
showed- we
Bluford?
showed what can happen. You can see it better. There's 2 driveways, and there's an access lane.
There's gonna be an
So
access
instead of
road.
having 7 driveways onto Bluford, you would just have 2. They would access. they
So
would
they
access
back
the
out on the
drive.
drive and then they be able to pull out. Okay,
Yes,
good,
yes,
good.
yes.
All right, thank you. I hadn't seen any of these plans ahead of time. The other thing is the size of the properties. How is this gonna increase our property values around our lots? Because our houses, I think, are normally 2,000 square foot and larger lots, so how will this help increase the property values of our, I mean, that's the concern that I have on the long term. I know you're talking about potentially rezoning everything and changing there, but I think a lot of our houses around there are, you know, we've been there a long time, and the folks are probably second generation too in some of those areas and more. So, I mean, that's a concern that we have with, we want change, we want to embrace change, but it seems like trying to put 7 units in that less than a 1 acre piece of property, I was counting, there's 7 houses that border this property, and they're gonna put 7 houses inside this 3/4 acres inside there. That seems like a lot of density to pack in that one area. So,
Can
I appreciate
ask you
your
a quick
time.
question, but not to interrupt you, and this has nothing to do with anything, but, you know, you've seen the places that are going up in Winter Garden, right, around the houses, and what do you think about those? I mean, those have brought values up extremely high, wouldn't you agree, or?
Have they placed the same footprint in a 3/4 acre lot?
We don't know what this footprint's gonna be right now,
Right.
right? But
But
I'm just
I-
saying in general.
Yeah, I mean, the concern I have is the concept sounds good, but on a 3/4 acre lot, that seems concerning. I don't know if there's other properties that they can point to that have had this size footprint placed on a 3/4 acre lot.
If you think about it, on the corner of Plant Park Street, there was one little house with a pool in it, now it's got condos on it, so.
And are they front-loaded drives or they're back-loaded
They're
drives?
worth $900,000.
Yeah,
Are they
they're almost
front?
$1 million a piece.
I haven't been by there. Are they
They're on a
front-loaded?
lot that was small, almost a little smaller than this one.
And they're
so-
front-loaded drives or they're the
I don't know, I
back?
can't remember.
I mean, because that's the other thing is the view of garages along the front. I would think that there's a property value thing. I don't know what those look like.
Sure, and we don't know
Right.
what it is, I just
Right.
wanted to get your opinion on it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
Anybody else? Come back up to the dais if you would. Just make sure you say it in the mic, please.
My name again is Larry Klein. I'm at 401 South Cumberland. My question is in the front where the driveways are, is that going to be concrete all the way across there? Or is there going to be any lawns there, or is it just going to be a concrete pavement?
At this point right now, we don't know what the design's gonna be, right? But I think when we get done, we'll have him come back up and he can say some more stuff. But right now, there's no design for it whatsoever. But what it sounds like is you're gonna have an arterial road. Between that road and Bluford, there's gonna be a nice walkscape and a sidewalk of some sort.
It just seems strange, because you're making it more commercial, industrial than residential. I mean, you want front lawns, you want porches, you want stoops.
Yes, sir.
And you're gonna put concrete all in front.
Right. Thank you. Who else we got? Is that? Is anybody else that had not spoke yet that would like to speak? Would you two ladies in the front like to say anything at all, just in case? Does it matter? No. Heck no. Does it matter? Come on up. Come on up. Please.
It doesn't matter, yes, it matters.
No, it does matter,
It does
but it doesn't
matter.
matter if you don't want to or not.
No, it sounds like you guys have already made the decision.
No,
Oh,
absolutely
no.
not.
You want to turn our beautiful little Bluford into a commercial area and jam in these apartments. And some of us have lived there 40 years.
Yes, ma'am.
In fact, my house, when we built it in '81, was the first new house in I don't know how many years. And if you know anything about the city, we lived next to one of the oldest residents in the city at the time. And that house is gone now, and of course, they've redeveloped that land.
Yes, ma'am.
But it's like you want to take our homes away from us and turn this all into commercial property. And I'm so against this.
Yes, ma'am.
And a lot of us are. And I wish there were more of us here.
Can you state your name, please? for the
Carmel
record?
Powers, 495 South Bluford.
Thank you very much. All right, last chance. Anybody else? Did you have one more comment you needed to make? Come on up. We'll entertain it real fast.
So my question is, we're here and
Just say your name one more time. I'm
Maggie.
sorry.
Maggie Musial.
Okay.
So my question is we're here and we're talking about the zoning and changing that zoning.
Yes.
And yet, we've been shown the little spec showing that we really, my concern is the community, and like she spoke of, the values. And you used the example of Park Place, and it's worth $700,000 or $900,000 per unit or whatever. How do we know whoever, I know he's the applicant.
Right.
Who's to say he won't sell and say, wow, it's zoned for this? I mean, we have homes right now on Cumberland, a sale that's quite a high figure for those of us who have lived. I mean, this house listed at $639.
Yeah.
It's under contract. So I guess for me, and maybe some of the others, beyond the fact that the high density, how do we, a price point? It's just, and like I said, it's not the look.
Right.
And so when you're making a decision for changing the zoning, I mean, there's so many unknowns here. And I think that for us, that's scary.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Jennifer, you got one more comment you want to make? Come on back up. You're going to be the last one. You got to do it in the mic. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Well, till at least the next hearing comes up. If it comes up.
Okay, guys, I really object to your holding up Winter Gardens Park Place to compare it to this.
Well, what about Eatonville's
It ain't
projects
gonna be
or
like it.
Winter Park's projects, right? They're all the same, right? Eatonville has the same projects that are going up, so does Winter Park.
I will guarantee you that if this project goes up, they're wanting to squeeze in 7 so that they can get some money, rolling. I don't think it's going to be a Park Place and Winter Garden. So
Sure.
I just wanted to say that. That's just my opinion.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to close the public hearing. We're going to bring it back up. Mike, do you want to address anything that, give you a last chance to address anything? That was a lot of information. Thank you very much for all your comments, by the way.
While Mike's bringing that up, I'm going to make one comment, and that's, you had some very good information. You're not going to get a lot of time before the city commission because they will limit you to the 3 minutes. Chair was very good at extending time, and I appreciate that. But what I would suggest you do is write as much of that down in the way of a document that you could present prior to the meeting so that all of the commissioners would have it in front of them as something that they could go off of, because you're not gonna get enough time in 3 minutes to cover everything that you did cover very well, by the way, so.
Absolutely. Oh, I concur. I definitely email that in ahead of time so the commissioners would read it a few days in advance as well.
I would go as far as saying, I'll buy someone else's time.
Yeah.
You really had some good information, so take some of their time when you go to the commission. If they allow you.
So what I want to say is, I'm not going to be able to pull that back up, but, and is it Matthew that spoke?
Is that your name?
Scott, I've had some openings, you can walk to work. You're a planner, or you're in the planning field, but yes, and as I stated, the downtown master plan was adopted by the commission. It was approved, accepted, not by ordinance. So if you recall, when we did the character areas, if you were on this commission then, we actually adopted them via ordinance. So we have a downtown vision plan which has these areas, and it has the downtown core, the downtown neighborhood, and the next step, one of the next steps is to adopt those criteria, the downtown, and really set the boundaries by ordinance. We have not done that. We have not done that for one main reason, because it's going to take, when we're in this process, it's going to be just like this. And we didn't want to do it during COVID when no one could come, or where people were left at home. So we have not followed up the downtown plan and adopted the downtown criteria by ordinance. So we're sort of in this gray area. We have a downtown vision plan, which is a vision that we're trying to make a reality with over $40 million worth of infrastructure. We've done some deals on properties to get urban development or mixed-use type development going. So yes, you have the suburban land development code, and you have the downtown master plan, vision plan, which was just accepted. And then we're gonna come back and bring that all in a nice document to say, this is the criteria, these are the zones. And in that, as we meet with developers, as we talk and see things, we've gone from, it's going from Geneva to Silver Star to, we wanna take it all the way to, from Orlando to Silver Star. We want to take this thing all the way to Geneva. And we've stepped out and said, we're so serious, we think this is so beneficial. The commission has adopted and we're funded bringing Blueford Avenue south as far as we can to Old Winter Garden Road. So correct. This is just the first step. As the applicants in the development process and we go through that, we plan to bring that stuff together. We hope. Now we're back under another sort of COVID restraints possibly under the surge. So we didn't want to slip this stuff in during COVID when you couldn't fit half the people in here that are in here tonight. So yes, we're doing a land use and rezoning. At the time that they go to pull building permits to go vertical, we will have the downtown code adopted and these areas will all be understood. So I just wanted to reference that. I want to go back to the downtown master plan was we packed the room with citizens in this area, citizens of Ocoee. And the city's not purchasing property and throwing people out. I can just tell you, we've got a lot for sale for $850,000 across from City Hall. It's starting to happen. It's going to happen, and we expect and we facilitate, we will promote from Silver Star down to Geneva Story as our downtown, from the Lake Shore to the 429. That's all going to be the downtown. Traffic, we need more traffic. We need people. If you go to the cheer gym, the parking lot is packed. Those people have the parents have nowhere to go. They sit in their car. They put their face up to the window. we're gonna have places in the downtown for those hundreds of parents. They're gonna drive on Blueford Avenue from Ford and then drive back. We're gonna pick up trips, but we're also offering wide sidewalks. We're gonna have trails. We're gonna have opportunities for people to drive their golf carts and to walk and to bike. And so it's not it's gonna happen. We're talking 10, 15, 20 years. It's not gonna happen overnight. So values, I'm not a value. We do have some more experts on the panel than me to talk about. The values are going up because our downtown we're seeing values rise, just naturally. But I'm not an expert witness to tell anybody what the value is gonna do. I can tell you those units, whatever's constructed there is gonna be constructed under today's prices, under today's development codes, which is a higher cost than it was to build years ago and at a higher constructability. So I think I've covered, yes, we like how it is now, Blueford Avenue's not the only thing we're working on. We've got a mixed-use center on the north end. We've got one on 50. We've got a very neat boutique level development inspiration off Tom Boulevard that I think people are going to be really amazed with. We're working on a lot of things. We're not trying to change. I've had Mr. Milton yell at me. I'm not telling him. I've helped him get an extra lot there. I've helped him, but yeah, I'm not going to try to push him out of his house. No way.
Thank you, Mike. So I'm going to make a comment, and then I'm going to ask if any other commissioners on the board here have any comments or questions. I don't see this fitting at all. I mean, to me personally, high density, we're not ready for that yet in this area. If I were to even think about approving this, it would have to be medium density, and we'd have to make a stipulation or a recommendation to the city council, of course, that this couldn't be any more than 6 units. So, I mean, that would be my personal thing on this. I don't think going to 7, 8 units and starting the high-density rush is ready yet. So that's just my opinion. Mike, I do have the question. So they're going to do, we're giving is it a variance to have a 10-foot side setback on this, or is that just included in the amendment, what's happening?
Again, we're not looking at a site plan.
Right.
We will adopt site plan criteria along the way.
Okay.
And it'll have to fit whatever the criteria is at that time.
Fair enough. So until that happens, right? No matter what gets approved or not, until that happens, they can't do 10-foot side setbacks until that's designed and then another approval happens.
Yes, so under the R3, that has different setbacks than your traditional R1 AA, R1A.
Okay. Does anybody else have any comments they'd like?
Yes, sir.
I do.
All right. We're gonna I'm gonna give you a minute and a half, Jason. That's it.
I don't need that long. I'll be done in 30 seconds.
We're gonna start with Jason and then we'll swing this way.
It's 10 minutes.
I agree with all the residents here. I'm not a big fan of, going from low density to high density. I don't believe this follows like the current community aesthetics and the profile. I don't think is up to, the aesthetics of the area, and I do agree, I don't believe that having townhomes that close to really nice homes is gonna it's not gonna raise their home values, and I do believe it would possibly lower them. For that reason, I'd vote no on this.
Thank you. Mr. Kennedy?
Although I'm not voting on this, I do think you've heard enough feedback that there's questions.
I'm very delighted.
That there's questions about extending the downtown redevelopment area that far south. And my other comment is obviously the flaw that has occurred is we're not looking at a site plan. Frequently when we're doing these rezoning requests, we're also approving a site plan. And I think if something like this ever came back, people have a right to see the aesthetics, the elevations, the setbacks, et cetera.
Member Williams?
Similar comments. It's kind of hard to divorce in our heads the land use, the zoning, and the project, the specific project and site plan. It all needs to kind of somewhat come together cohesively, and I don't feel that it does at this time. I also am struggling with the issue of timing. Timing is important. Yes, it needs to be compatible and contiguous, all those wonderful things that we say, but timing is also important, and to me, I'm not sure the timing is right here. So that's where I'm struggling. I do also want to make note that the process here is that we make a recommendation and that it goes to the city commission. So regardless of how it comes out tonight, it's important that you give your comments at the city commission as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I think, you know, this stuff is coming, right? It's coming down the line. I don't think this is quite ready yet, and if it ever came back, you know, I would like to see it at a different density with different units and a site plan with a much better site plan than that.
Mr. Forges? Well, this will sound somewhat redundant. I think, again, I'm not a fan of high density in that area, simply because the Ivy property, I think we're opening the gate for something we may not want in the future. And if a developer comes in and they have the high-priced lawyers, and it's we've approved a high density, and we will be here again with these citizens. So I'm not a big fan of the high density either. Scott's presentation definitely hit home. There are some questions I'd like to ask staff with regards to that after the meeting. So I am in no way comfortable at all to say this is the right project for us. A bit of criticism, a developer telling us to maximize our profit, we must shut down more units. I'm not sure that's an impressive thing to say in the downtown area. That doesn't sit well with me. And also, with regards to property values, I'm not here in that capacity, but I can assure you that a combination of apartments, townhomes, single families, in criminal prices, labor force, does bring value to your community. We all can be millionaires. Those lower price homes brings people into your district, you know, to benefit some of your tax district, and also the higher price homes also help the lower price home in that area. So a combination of those does not decrease your property value, at least on a professional opinion. However, I still stand by, I think high density may not be the right type of product for that area for now.
Thank you. Member Keller?
Yeah, I agree with Geneva and Bluford going all the way to Old Winter Garden Road, but I see from Geneva to Old Winter Garden Road being commercial. I don't see north of that being commercial at this time. Maybe later, maybe 15, 20 years from now, when everything changes, we review that. But as it stands right now, this section to me just does not look like it's ready to have one set of townhomes in the middle of all of these regular home, you know, single-family homes. I just don't see that as fitting right now. I have a hard time supporting it as much as I, you know, having been on the commission when we approved all of that. I don't think that was my vision for that area when we approved it. But like I said, I do like the idea of extending Bluford all the way to Old Winter Garden. But I think from Geneva down is your commercial area. I don't really think north of Geneva is.
And I want to make sure everybody's clear. I mean, this user is not intending to make this a commercial property. It's a for sale residential property, right? So this is not turning this into a commercial.
But I just find
piece.
a high density, but we're talking about commercial. I mean, as it was talking, it was like, gee, it'd be nice if we could turn this whole area commercial now.
Right.
I don't think that's what I see is right now the future of that area in the short term. Maybe 15, 20 years from now it will be, but for the short term, I think those folks want to keep it as regular, single-family homes and aren't looking for that. So that's my opinion on it.
All right, thank you.
All right, Mr.
Well-
Chair,
Yes.
I was gonna make a motion.
Let me, yes, so we'll need two motions for this. If so choose, the first one would be for the small-scale comprehensive plan. So do I have a motion for that?
I'll make that motion. I'll make a motion to deny the small-scale comprehensive plan, future land use map amendment from low-density residential to high-density residential.
Make a motion at all.
HDR CPA 2021-007.
I'll second.
Hang on one second, guys.
A motion to recommend denial.
Correct.
Recommend denial.
Yes. So we have a motion to recommend denial by Vice Chair Mellon and a second by Member Keller. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? We have a second, well, the first one dropped, so the second one doesn't matter, right, Mike? Do we need to?
At the commission level, it wouldn't matter, so they wouldn't.
Yeah,
get to it, so.
I would continue with the recommendation on the
This
second.
won't hurt, so it's.
I would like to see if we can get a motion for the rezoning as well. Same thing.
So, Mr. Chair, I move that we recommend denial of the rezoning from a single-family dwelling district R1AA to multiple, high-density dwelling district, because it was originally put as high-density. Case number RZ 21-10-31.
Thank you. I have a motion to deny. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion to deny by Member Williams and a second by Vice Chair Mellon. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Carries. So, good luck. Good luck to you, sir. Okay. Hey, y'all make sure you come to more meetings. This was great.
Make sure you're at the meeting where this is brought up before the commission, because it was denied here does not stop.
Mike, do you have the date?
All right.
Do you have the date of the meeting? Do you have the date of the commission meeting? Is that set?
I think we advertised it for,
First reading.
first reading would be February 1st. Second reading would be the third Tuesday of February.
Y'all hear that? So this is going to come up in front of the commission meeting for a first reading on February 1st, and then you'll be able to have,
Not at that hearing.
the next one will be open to the
February 1st, the
public.
attorney reads the ordinance block, and that's it.
And then the second reading, which you'll be able to
And that would be the 15th.
make comments, would be February 15th?
The third Tuesday.
Perfect. All right. Thank y'all. All right, so our next, we're going to be miscellaneous. We're going to go project status report. Mike?
Yes, we had the pre-construction meeting.
Guys, we're still having a meeting here, so if we could just come out in a quiet manner, please. Or not.
We're going to be getting a Polaris dealership on State Road 50 over by the 429 Turnpike. Loves
Say that one more
Motorsports.
time?
A Polaris dealership.
Okay.
Loves Motorsports. We just had they're going to do an addition on that building that's in front of the auto auction
Yeah.
for a showroom. We have
ATVs.
we'll have the pre-construction meeting soon for the Christian Brothers Automotive. We are, you'll see this Ocoee Village Center. They have the roadway north of Fuller's Cross shut down. They're working in tandem with the police department and Public Works on getting that roundabout constructed and trying to limit the headaches to the students at the Montessori school, and keep that traffic going. Otherwise, we are inspecting a lot of townhome developments. We got Greens at Forest Lake Reserve, at Meadow Lake, or at Spring Lake. We have the Innovation Inspiration development still underway. We have the Araya age-restricted apartments under construction. Lots going on. And so as I said, we were hoping, I have that other staff member to help me, and we were going to be we have a busy year plan, not only adopting the downtown criteria, but also doing a comprehensive plan update, which will facilitate the downtown information. So entertain any questions.
I missed the last meeting. Is that young lady, is she not with us anymore?
She's just under the weather. so
Gotcha.
she's-
I'm sorry to hear that. I've seen a couple questions on, some of the chat rooms around on Facebook asking about City Center. They got their bond issue set. Are they coming back to you yet?
Another loan supposedly is closed, and they're acquiring more property around to help make everything work out.
So your permits for the parking garages aren't ready?
We received the permit for the foundation of the wraparound building. So there's another foundation work has to be done, and then the rest will be designed to go up.
Great. Does anybody have any questions for Mike? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second?
Second?
All those in favor? Have a wonderful evening.
Yeah.